I've never had any kind of problem with violence or the police or any of the kind of charges that they're making. I've never crossed into that area.
It's trouble again for Danny Partridge, but he says everything will turn out okay. Entertainment Tonight has the story for this Tuesday, April 2nd, 1991.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Entertainment Tonight. I'm John Tesh.
And I'm Mary Hart. The real-life family of former Partridge Family child star Danny Bonaduce is rallying to his side. Bonaduce was arrested in Arizona on felony charges in the aftermath of an alleged street corner sex liaison gone awry.
I don't know what I'm at liberty to say. I can tell you that it's not true. Certainly the allegations, the way they read, are not true.
The way the allegations read, Bonaduce picked up a prostitute on this corner in his hometown of Phoenix, paid for a sex act, and then realized his companion was a male transvestite. Bonaduce is charged with assaulting the 25-year-old man and taking back his payment of $20. All accusations Danny and his family say are not true.
People have said bad things about Danny for a lot of times, and I have found some of them to be true, and the thing I have also found is that he always tells me. He has always told me much more than I want to know. This time, Danny says, Mom, this didn't happen. And this time, I believe him.
Danny's wife claims when she let Phoenix police officers in the house to question Bonaduce, they beat him up.
Well, I'm sure you can see that my eyes have been kind of beaten. I can't open this one, and this one isn't that clear.
He has bruises on the back of his legs and red marks, and he just looks horrible.
A spokesman for the Phoenix Police Department says this was definitely not a case of brutality.
Officers found Mr. Bonaduce in a closet in a state of undress, apparently had some blood on him, and there was a short scuffle. He resisted officers at the time of the arrest.
Bonaduce left a DJ job back in 1990 after an arrest for cocaine possession and has been suspended from his latest on-air stint for his most recent run-in. But he says he'll soon be vindicated.
I take 2 urine tests a week for my job. Every week, and they've always come up clean. I've never had any kind of problem with violence or the police or any of the kind of charges that they're making. From the dealings I've had with the police and the court system, I think when the truth comes out, they'll say, good day, and I'll go home.
It's just ridiculous. And as soon as everybody knows what really happened, I mean, there's not going to be any question, and he'll come home to me.
Bonaduce was freed on $8,400 bond. He was booked for investigation on charges that include strong-arm robbery and aggravated assault.
If you look good sitting still, how tough can it be to look good moving? That being the theory, models for years have trekked to Hollywood hoping to make it big in the movies. As today's Inside Story reveals, the transition is no cinch. They come down the ramps and off the magazine covers and hope to walk right into the movies. But from modeling to acting is a tough transition. Andie MacDowell succeeded in rising from the fashion pages to an acting career, despite what she sees as a negative stereotype against models.
Everybody seems to think that all models are stupid or something, and I'm sure maybe some of them are. I don't think I'm stupid, though. I don't know. People put you in a category and say you are a model. I'm not a model. I'm a person.
Others have succeeded. Actresses Sybil Shepherd, Kim Basinger, and Farrah Fawcett began as models. And actors Ted Danson, Kevin Costner, and Tom Selleck put in their time in the modeling trade. But the transition has its challenges. Casting directors Jane Jenkins and Janet Hershenson see models who want to act every day. They say it's not so simple.
That transition of just posing in front of a camera is a whole lot different than being in front of the camera and being able to communicate and to emote and to feel and to receive, as actors have to, is a whole other thing than just, sitting and looking pretty.
Actor Jack Scalia made the transition from modeling to acting, but he says the lot of the actor is not much more glamorous than that of the model.
Basically, we're a meat market. We're dealt with only on how good our current performance is.
Sometimes the transition can be like a sudden dose of reality. Model Iman went from the top of the fashion world and celebrity status to a bit part in a Steve Martin movie. She says her desire to act meant giving up all of that glamour.
When I moved here, they kept on saying, well, you have to be serious. You can't, do this, you can't do that. In the meantime, you want to ask them, and who's going to pay the rent? In the meantime, while I'm waiting for an acting job.
Supermodel Beverly Johnson has gone from the runway to the stage, here rehearsing for a production of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. She's working hard at learning a new craft and at learning new attitudes toward her.
I'm at the top of the field in modeling, so there's no rejection there. And I'm entering into a new field, which is acting, so there's nothing but rejection there.
Brooke Shields began young as a model and actress. Today, she says, one career you grow out of, the other you don't.
I know that I will be in the acting profession for the rest of my life. There's no doubt to that. And that is something that I can control. As far as the modeling, I think age dictates that.
Not all top models take to acting. Christy Brinkley played opposite Chevy Chase in the first National Lampoon's Vacation movie, but since then has devoted her time to being a wife and mom. And top model Paulina Poroskova had a lead role opposite Tom Selleck in the movie Her Alibi, but has done little since.
Very nice, beautiful, beautiful.
Supermodel Carol Alt has come up with an interesting strategy to build an acting career. She's become a movie star in Europe with 8 films to her credit.
I think what happens here is people cast me for parts that in America they just never would. Too pretty, or think she's great, or think she's a model, or whatever their reasons for not working with me. But here, I get to do the choice roles.
The career switch can be costly. Top fashion models earn $500,000 a year and up. The pay scale for small movie roles is only $431 a day. On our Inside Story tomorrow, the Countess who was a spy says Ava Gardner and Sammy Davis Jr. unknowingly helped her U.S. espionage missions. She liked to party, but she was also trained to kill.
At one moment, I had to use my gun and shoot a thug who had been paid to eliminate me one night on my way back from a ball.
The Countess comes in from the cold. The Inside Story tomorrow here on Entertainment Tonight.
Coming up next, they're attracted to stardom like moths to a flame, but how do you teach a moth to act? And later, a touching farewell to the late Martha Graham, the woman who reinvented modern dance.
Hollywood has known its share of temperamental stars, but none like those appearing in The Silence of the Lambs. They were flown to the film set first class, had special diets, and carefully crafted costumes. Not bad work for a moth.
You mean this is like a clue from a real murder case? Cool.
Winging their way to stardom in the thriller are a group of moths who provide a pivotal clue in finding a serial killer.
Meet Mr. Acherontia Styx.
When the filmmakers needed someone to cast and coach the creatures, they called on Raymond Mendez, a biologist currently working on the Smithsonian's new insect exhibit.
It's been a childhood fascination ever since. The first thing I can remember literally is holding bugs in my hand.
Mendez's latest pet project called for very rare moths known as death heads. He literally had to design costumes to turn ordinary moths into death head moths by painting fake fingernails and attaching them to the moths. He said these movie star moths require different treatment than his lab insects.
We'd get the moths ready, costumes, harnesses, everything set to go, and then we would wait for the director to call us on set, and we'd have to run around with the rods trying to make sure that the moths did everything they were supposed to do.
Mendez, who also wrangled thousands of cockroaches for the film Creepshow, says that none of his insects are harmed. In fact, he treats them as the six-legged stars and winged wonders that they are.
I like insects, so I'm not interested in working in a project where insects would be being slaughtered needlessly or burned or tortured or anything else like that. It's what I try to avoid happening by being on set, that we do everything so that the animals will survive and do well.
Mendez assures us that no moths were hurt during filming, thank goodness. And once the shooting was finished, they were flown back to New York and lived out their lives in his apartment.
Okay. The marriage of romance and comedy has long been a tradition in Hollywood films. The Marrying Man takes the concept down the aisle several times and says, "I do" to today's exclusive movie preview.
Oh, Charlie.
In The Marrying Man, set in Hollywood in the 40s, Alec Baldwin is a rich playboy set to marry Elizabeth Shue, daughter of a Hollywood mogul. But at his bachelor party, he falls for Kim Basinger. But Basinger belongs to mobster Bugsy Siegel, played by Armand Assante. And when he catches them in bed, he forces the issue.
You slept with my girl? Well, now you'll marry her.
Basinger and Baldwin decide they'll have the quickie marriage annulled. But romance taps them on the shoulder and complicates things.
Would the ex Mrs. Pearl like to become the next Mrs. Pearl?
Though their love seems superficial and motivated by lust, the two managed to marry and separate a number of times over the course of the next love-cursed 8 years that make up the movie.
Just one drink. No. Every time we stop by for a drink, you got to get married a couple of times.
The Marrying Man opens at theaters nationwide on Friday.
Comedy gets the laughs, but seldom gets the credit for making up a serious portion of the entertainment world. The American Comedy Awards were launched 5 years ago to remedy that situation by recognizing jokers for their art.
Good evening, and welcome to the 5th Annual American Comedy Awards. Whoever dreamed it would get this far?
Bea Arthur kicks off this year's Comedy Awards, kicking up her heels on stage with Family Matters star Jaleel White, who plays Urkel the nerd in a parody of award shows' dance numbers. Some of the evening's big winners include young Macaulay Culkin, funniest male in a motion picture for Home Alone, Ted Danson, chosen as funniest male on a TV series in Cheers, and Tracy Ullman, voted funniest female for her now defunct Tracy Ullman Show.
Thank you very, very much for my funniest female performer in a comedy series. Let's face it, I'm the funniest female performer without a comedy series now.
Stars like Golden Girl Estelle Getty and Saturday Night Live's Dana Carvey were on hand, picking up awards for their funny supporting roles on TV. Carvey says he always is shocked to find people think he's funny.
I spent my whole life playing the straight man until Saturday Night Live, playing innocent kind of characters. You know, most of the lines I had in my career before Saturday Night Live were like, "Hey, you guys, what are you doing?"
If the boaters ever sneeze together, we'd have Hurricane Hannah.
The special also includes a tribute to the late Danny Thomas and the presentation of a Lifetime Creative Achievement Award to Carl Reiner, honored by his biggest fan, his son Rob.
Tonight is for my Pop, and I love him dearly, and I'm very happy to be here, Pop. And what else can I say? Give me a big hug and a kiss.
The 5th Annual American Comedy Awards will be broadcast tomorrow night on ABC.
It was a page right out of a Mark Twain novel as paddle wheel steamboats pulled away from the banks of the Mississippi yesterday, equipped for riverboat gambling. Vanna White was among those rolling down the river as Iowa kicked off legalized riverboat gambling. With Showboat star Howard Keel, Vanna gave the Wheel of Fortune a spin and came out a winner. Debbie Reynolds was the big winner in Beverly Hills, where she was given a birthday roast. Rip Taylor, Cesar Romero, and Charles Bronson were among those on hand for the event, which benefited a mental health clinic.
Debbie Reynolds put MGM where it is today, in the hotel business.
You are still your child's most important teacher.
Wonder Years mom Allie Mills hosts Common Sense Parenting for the 90s. That's a new home video from Boys Town designed to help parents teach their kids self-esteem.
I've worked with kids my whole life in some capacity or another, so that's why I said that I'd love to do it.
And Paul McCartney taped a special in London, which airs tomorrow on MTV. Featured are Beatles classics and songs that inspired McCartney early in his career.
Coming up next, a tribute to the First Lady of Dance. Martha Graham's legacy lives on.
Seldom does someone come along and shake the cultural world to its very foundations. Martha Graham was a shaker. Though she died yesterday at the age of 96, Martha Graham changed the course of modern dance forever. She said she wanted to chart the graph of the heart. She wanted to give visible substance to things felt. For over 70 years, Martha Graham was an innovator. She developed the first alternative to classical ballet. A revolutionary, she was modern dance. It was said she was to dance what Stravinsky was to music, what Picasso was to painting. The woman who many choreographers say made the single greatest contribution to the world of dance in this century. She began her career in 1916 at the age of 22, and by the late 1920s, she was teaching her method of dance, one that presented a dancer's body as distorted, an abstraction. She gave her last performance and retired from the stage at the age of 75, but she never stopped working.
I wouldn't know what to do exactly. I think it must be very boring, and I live to work.
Having choreographed over 180 works, she continued to tour with her troupe, a troupe that in the 80s attracted such classical ballet dancers as Baryshnikov. That's an inspiring career. Graham's students included Betty Davis, Joanne Woodward, Kirk Douglas, Gregory Peck, and former First Lady Betty Ford. President Gerald Ford presented Martha Graham with the Medal of Freedom in 1976.
Us magazine is celebrating the stars with a special double issue featuring the best celebrity portraits in the magazine's history. Entertainment Tonight now has an exclusive peek inside the pages. The special issue of Us magazine contains intriguing celebrity portraits from the past 6 years. Melissa Gilbert, 9 months pregnant. 24-year-old Michael J. Fox taking the plunge. Kevin Costner in his kitchen in 1985. The best portraits reveal something, according to Us editor-in-chief, Jan Wenner.
In this picture of him at home, and that, pointing out what's in his refrigerator, like, just a normal person, so much of what his appeal is.
Back in 1986, Tom Cruise wouldn't smile for his portrait.
In pictures, he just has the hardest, in a still picture, he has the hardest time smiling. He won't, because his teeth are actually kind of crooked. And so he likes to hide it.
Liz Taylor had been recovering from a back problem when this shot was taken in 1985.
It was her kind of return to beauty. She had lost all her weight and gotten right into, and it was her return to glamour. And it's her in the pool, wearing that fabulous sapphire and diamond necklace and with the parrot in her hand and just looking like the real glamour queen that she was.
Like Patrick Swayze, some stars like to be pictured with their pets. Harrison Ford and Chevy Chase at home with his retriever and his plastic cow. Some stars, like Laura Dern in 1986 and Daryl Hannah in 1990, preferred a more formal portrait. Janet Jackson was very aware of the image she wanted to project in 1990.
She just changed entirely, and now it looks like this, voluptuous, really, pretty, sexy, very modern person.
The Us Collector's Edition is available at newsstands this week.
Tonight, the Heart File opens up on Ronnie Cox, one of Hollywood's busiest actors. He has starred in RoboCop, Total Recall, and Beverly Hills Cop. He's even done some television. You might remember Apple's Way back in the 70s or Saint Elsewhere. But it turns out Ronnie has a secret dream he's never revealed until now, and it's quite different than any of his movie roles. Hollywood has made him a corrupt businessman and a cop, a futuristic villain, even a doctor. But in real life, Ronnie Cox wants to be a country music singer. He has started performing wherever he can, but it's not the first time he's picked up a guitar in public. Ronnie's first movie was Deliverance. Nearly 20 years later, he's rediscovering his love of music.
There's just such a feeling about it. I can't describe it really other than to say that it just means the world to me. If the music's good, there's nothing better. It doesn't happen that often, but when it's right, it's the best.
Somebody told me I was born beneath a lucky star.
He's also busy recording some of his own songs with a new band. He nearly has enough music for an album.
I like it. I have no expectations from the music, but I know that I'm having the time of my life doing music.
With all his success in Hollywood, Ronnie only has to work about half the year, and he says music has pushed movies onto the back burner for a while.
I've made plenty of money, and I'm just going to do the things that make me happy and make me feel good.
Ronnie has been married for 31 years and has 2 sons. He says his dream is to perform with his youngest boy, John, a professional musician. And that's an update from the Heart File.
Production assistance furnished by MasterCard, the card that's accepted at over 8 million places. No wonder no card helps you master more moments than MasterCard.
Celebrating birthdays today, singer Emmylou Harris turns 44. Singer Leon Russell is 50 today. Actor Alec Guinness is 77. And actor Buddy Ebsen turns 83.
That's it for us for this Tuesday. Tomorrow, she was a countess who rubbed elbows with celebrities and stars, none of whom realized they were being used to help the U.S. espionage effort. We're going to have that story for you.
The stuff of which legends are made, perhaps. We're going to close with a real legend, Paul McCartney from the musical series Unplugged, with which will premiere tomorrow night on MTV and will also be available on CD. Here he is with Falling.
Enjoy it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Had it been another day, I might have looked the other way, and I'd have never been aware. As it is, I'll dream of her tonight. Falling, yes, I'm falling. Then she keeps calling me back again. I've never known the likes of this. I've been alone and I've missed things and kept out of sight. But other girls were never quite like this. Falling, yes, I'm falling. That she keeps calling me back again. Falling, yes, I'm falling. That she keeps calling me back again. I've just seen her face, I can't forget the time or place we first met. She's just the girl for me. I want all the world to see we've met. Falling, yes, I'm falling. And she keeps calling me back again. Falling, yes, I'm falling. And she keeps calling me back again. Falling, yes, I'm falling, and she keeps calling